Every show, it's usually, oh, this is the last night, crap. Usually, at least prepare yourself in some respects, but like, this show has been so intense, and every moment has just kind of blended into each other, and all of a sudden I'm sitting there prepping, and I'm like, oh my God, we're suddenly at the last night. I'm not really ready for it to be the last night.
I'm gonna miss being like here all the time, but I know that I'll like be able to look back on this experience, and it'll be a unique one that I can't really share with many people other than who else was involved.
I suspect that somewhere along these next couple of weeks there's going to be some serious emotional wreckage. I can't imagine that there won't be. I have been working on this for 5 years, and you know, the words that come out of their mouths are from my brain, so it's stuff that I've either thought about or friends have dealt with, or so, you know, it's kind of some bits of my life up there, you know, kind of being played out.
This show has meant so much to so many people that it's kind of like, it's really over. There's been so many people that have, you know, even for an hour or two, that this would have never happened without everybody working together and everyone coming together.
What happened? Where'd you go?
1-1-1-1-1. I don't know why I can't say 1-2-1-2-1.
In 2003, I was getting ready to go to the Mid-America Theater Conference, and you know, it just kind of was one of those out of nowhere ideas, and I took a paper to that conference called Audience Cubed, where it just briefly touched on the idea of IRL, but at the time it wasn't called IRL, it was called PUSH. I tried 3 or 4 times over the years to get someone to sponsor the show, and it wasn't until we got here that somebody, well, Lily, said, yeah, let's do it.
Michelle had been talking about this show for almost as long as I'd known her, in some form or another. And I finally heard that she was actually gonna try to, you know, propose to do it, and I knew immediately upon even knowing just the vague concept that I wanted to be a part of the show one way or another.
I found out about it last year. Michelle had talked about it a little bit, about how it was kind of in the works. The audition posters started going up and everything, and I really wanted to be a part of the project because I knew it was going to be really awesome, and it seemed like nothing had ever been done like it before, and I thought it'd be really cool to just be a part of it.
Both Austin and Casey were at the audition that I was at. There were 2 days of auditions, and I didn't make it into the first one. I was actually sitting at home really struggling on whether or not I even wanted to come audition, because, you know, it's like, well, if I don't get cast, it's going to be heartbreaking, and do I just want to forget about it and just not go at all? And I just kind of drug myself here the second night, and I was like, you know, you're never going to find out if you don't just go.
One of the interesting things about this audition that I've never had happen before was every single auditioner was amazing. It was, I could have triple cast the show and been really happy with all 3 casts. It was a real small audition pool, but every single one of them was a keeper. Amanda is a non-traditional student. She's a little bit older, and in many ways I think she can see Livy's perspective, just because of situations in her own life, but also just being a little bit of an older woman who's had a little bit of experience, and she's seen a little bit more of the world that she can, and has kind of had those existential struggles where I think a 20-year-old woman would have a little bit more difficulty kind of understanding exactly where Livy is coming from with, you know, with her decision making. Casey is really just a unique lady. She's got this wonderful whimsical side of her, but she's also very intellectual and very curious and very motivated to learn more about theater and why theater works the way it does. And of the 3 of them, as I wrote the characters, and as you do when you write a play, you kind of have people in your mind. And for Max and Livy, the people in my mind were kind of people from my past. As I was writing Bertie's character, I more and more often would actually hear Casey saying, you know, or things Casey would say would then trigger, like, oh, I have to find a way to put this in, because she's got this kind of very funny, very innocent kind of quality to her, even though she's also in other ways very, very mature. Austin, as Max, There was a lot of reasons why Austin was a good fit for Max, and one of them was simply because as someone who's going into theater, he's very interested in exploring all of the different kinds of characters, and he hasn't really had a chance to fully explore a dramatic character. And I've worked with him in kind of a farce, I've worked with him in a very physical comedy. He's very, very good at comedy, and has a lot of control, almost really beyond his years, because he's still very young. But I really knew he had the chops to do a dramatic role, even though really I don't think he looked quite like what I thought Max would look like in my head. He's really done a wonderful job at kind of developing this character, or letting this character evolve. All three of them have been absolutely dedicated to the work, and even when I'm asking them to do things that they just scares the hell out of them, but they've never told me no. They've said kind of like, okay, can you help me get there or whatever, and I completely respect that. But they're here, they're ready to work, just as dedicated and talented as any of the professional actors I've worked with.
Hi. Well, here we are, the official launch of ourreallife.net webcam.
IRL is, most importantly, it's a story about these three people that live in an apartment in New York. Livy is an agoraphobic painter, Max is a photographer with anger issues, and Bertie is a developmentally delayed young woman. And that's the most important thing. It's like the main layer. On top of that, you have this whole web component where part of the story, and by no means the bulk of the story, but part of the story is that they set up this webcam in their apartment. The webcam goes live online during the show and runs through the length of the show, and it ends with the camera being turned off.
Livy is a character who's agoraphobic, and so the whole show is based on these three roommates that live in an apartment in New York City, and each one of them kind of has this difficulty in their life that they have to overcome, and Livy's is basically just going outside of her front door.
Will someone please tell me what's going on?
It's a letter from Livy's college party. They're asking her to come back.
Part of the play's story is that Livy has been given an invitation to go back to an art school that she had previously attended, and of course for her, the thought of going to art school, much less going down to the grocery store, is just unimaginable. And so the show really follows her struggle with whether or not to stay safe in her apartment where she's comfortable, and never has to leave, or to take this second opportunity that she's been given, which she never thought in a million years that she would have, and actually try to overcome her fear and actually leave the apartment and go back to school. And so as far as Livy's concerned, that's really where her central part in the show is she going to go back to college? Is she not going to go back to college?
Max Franklin is a very passionate, angry fellow. He is also very talented. He's a photographer. He used to, his photographs used to be in magazines and everything until his life fell apart. Now he lives with Bertie and Livy, and he has a special connection to both of them in their own ways. Max he has a really crap job, which she resents. He has issues with, he has conspiracy theories and all that jazz. He's really, actually kind of an interesting and cathartic character to play, because everyone kind of has those moments where they feel that everyone's out to get them in some respects, and in this character I kind of get to just explore that completely uninhibited.
Bertie, she's 24. She doesn't really care what people think. She just kind of does her own thing, and she's really spontaneous, and she's really honest. She doesn't really think about what she's saying, so in a way it's kind of like brutally honest, but in a good kind of way. And she's just really fun to play because I don't really have to worry about looking stupid, because Bertie wouldn't care, and she's not trying to impress anyone, so I just kind of get to let loose and do whatever I want.